The first episode of Chainsaw Man, on top of being devilishly stylish, is loaded with movie references, recurring themes, and potential foreshadowing. Here's everything you missed in Chainsaw Man Episode 1. The opening to Chainsaw Man is a beauty. The first shot we see has a reference to Gustave Dor's The Inferno Canto 22. Another work by Gustave, Satan Descends Upon Earth, makes an appearance in the manga too. The next shot we get is a direct reference to Reservoir Dogs, not only in the main characters walking around in suits, but in that funky bass too. That slap bass slapped harder than my dad's belt growing up. Denji hugging our beloved Pochita is actually a reference to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre's iconic opening. We get an almost one-to-one reference to the classic movie Pulp Fiction. Everyone at some point has seen this frame, let's be honest. The next shot is a direct reference to Sadako vs. Kayako, a Japanese horror film that's a crossover between The Grudge and The Ring. We get a reference to No Country for Old Men. Do you think it was a simple reference or could it mean something more? We also get a reference to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the comedy drama written and directed by Quentin Tarantino. The shot with Kishibe, Arai, Aki, and Kabuki is a reference to Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Notice the diagram in the anime is the tomato demon, which makes it all the more fitting with that movie reference. We get a reference to Don't Look Up with this shot of a terrified Denji and a thrilled Power. Jacob's Ladder, a movie that heavily inspired Silent Hill, makes an appearance in this shot with the angel devil on the staircase. This was modeled after the boy who led the protagonist to the truth he didn't want to face in the movie. Do you think this has some deeper foreshadowing or just Fujimoto flexing that he's a movie buff? This shot of Aki and Himeno closely resembles the movie Constantine in both framing and lighting. For those who have seen it, what deeper meaning do you think this holds, if any? The bowling shot is a direct reference to The Big Lebowski, which we can clearly tell from the peculiar way Denji preps the bowling ball. The shot of Power with the text closely resembles the cover art for Thor: Love and Thunder. If we look closer, we can see Makimami dragging Denji on a leash in 144p. In the shot where Denji lays on Makima's lap, we can see Venus flytraps in the background. This, combined with the jewel wasp on his head, both communicate some level of foreshadowing. Most likely in terms of control, since the venom of a jewel wasp hijacks a cockroach's brain and manipulates it. She also feeds Denji what appears to be a zombie snail, furthering the idea of poisoning or brainwashing someone. If you pause at the right moments, you can see the letter CSM spelled out, which is the abbreviation for Chainsaw Man. The big yellow ball is a Fight Club reference. The same door we see here is the one that starts off episode 1. I smell some major foreshadowing. Either the door is an extremely important part of the plot, or represents a recurring theme through the use of symbolism. We get the Fujimoto explosion, which can also be seen in his book, Goodbye Eri. We then get a shot of Makima standing on some books next to Aki. This closely resembles the image, The Trouble with Perspective, which shows that sometimes the people with the most knowledge discover the darkest truths. Here we learn that Denji and Power are actually TikTokers. Jokes aside, did this remind anyone else of the hot dog dance from Mickey Mouse Clubhouse? It can't just be me. You probably caught this, but Denji mentions his mom died of a disease that made her cough up blood. This could be some sort of foreshadowing, either in how he might die later on, or that maybe he'll lose a lot of blood in his devil form as time goes on. When compared to the manga, they expanded on Denji's death more in the anime, as well as before his transformation. We get more insight and a better understanding of the situation with the added segments when compared to the brief panels we saw in chapter 1 of the manga. Denji makes a comparison of himself to the zombies. He says that just like him, they always want more. He begins to think that maybe he should have been happy with the life he had, but finally comes to the conclusion that it's not wrong for someone to want more. But if anyone tries to stop his dream, he'll end them. Doing anything for his dream will most likely be his primary driving force for the rest of the anime. I'm sure this is unofficial, but Chainsaw Man slicing up the zombie demon reminded me so much of Levi Ackerman. The way Makima talks to Denji at the end of episode 1 denotes she knows a bit too much about him. She seems to know a lot about Denji's desires, mentioning that he'd have butter with jam along with coffee and salad if he went with her. I could be reading into this too much, but the way she speaks to him tells me either she can see right through him or she's looked into him before. Makima feeding Denji the zombie snail in the opening furthers this theory. Episode 1 is almost a direct one-to-one adaptation of chapter 1 from the manga. There are give or take 106 chapters right now, so are we being set up for more than 4 seasons worth of content? Did I miss anything? Did any of these surprise you? I'm Bumper Jumper, dedicated to exploring the deepest and most profound stories in anime, video games, movies, and TV shows. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions on this, so make sure to geek out in the comments below and I'll catch you in the next one.